Salvete omnes, salvete amici. Nomen mihi est Decimus Aurelius Ingeniarius, Praetor Australianus. Hello, good day, good evening. Welcome to the Roman Twitch channel here on Twitch, brought to you by Nova Roma. I am Decimus Aurelius, the Praetor of Nova Roma and also Governor of Provincia Australia and the Oceania region. It's an absolute pleasure to be here again this evening. Episode 7 of our Lingua Latina series, where you accompany me as we attempt to learn some Latin, or I learn Latin and you learn along with me. We've had a good time so far. I've certainly enjoyed it, learnt lots of new words. We're up to about chapter 6, so we've just concluded chapter 6 if you've been watching our previous episodes. Now, this evening is going to be a little bit different. So we're going to go back to chapter 1, but this time we're going to review some of the grammar, and we're actually going to do some of the homework that's in the back of those chapters. So that's what the next couple of episodes are going to be dedicated to. And so what you'll see on the next screen is I'll have the book up on the left, and then I'll have a little worksheet, I guess, on the right, or a Word document, and we're going to go through the exercises in real time. And if you're new to Latin, then you can learn along with me and do the homework with me. Or if you are quite an experienced Latinist, perhaps you might be able to throw some tips if I get stuck in chat, or correct me on my pronunciation. If you are looking for more on pronunciation, we actually use the YouTube channel Scorpio Martianus during our other episodes, where we seek to repeat the pronunciation that we hear as we step through each of the chapters. And that's narrated by a really good Latinist by the name of Luke Ranieri, if I've got his name correct. So go on over to YouTube and you can subscribe to his channel, Scorpio Martianus, and to get some more insight into Latin pronunciation off the Lingua Latina book. And that is this one here. So you can buy this one in hard copy, soft copy, ebook, etc. And it's unique if you're not sure about this book, or if you haven't heard it before. It's written entirely in Latin, but it's written in such a way that it starts really, really simply, kind of like a kid's book, and you can discern the grammar and the definition of words as you read through it by the way it's written. It's really a fascinating book. I'm curious to know if there's any other books out there that teach languages in this way. I think it's a really good way to teach Latin, and to self-teach it too, which is really what we're doing here. So great to have you all joining on, or whether you're watching this in the future on our YouTube channel, Australia Nova Romana. It'd be great for you all to pop along there and subscribe to that channel as well. We're heading towards 100 subscribers, where we continue to grow our video collection and what we can offer you guys, not only in Australia and New Zealand, but right across the world. So let's get stuck into our session this evening. Like I said, we're going back to chapter 1. This is towards the back end of chapter 1 here on the left-hand side, and on the left of your screen that you see right now, or what is directly above me. There we go. Move my microphone this way a little. Screech, screech, screech. Okay, so unfortunately I can't zoom this in a little bit more. I'm actually using the Amazon Kindle Cloud to actually view this book. So I have this book purchased through Amazon as an ebook actually as well as the hard copy that you see here. So for your viewing benefit, I've brought it up on the left-hand side, but I can't zoom it in. It's something strange about the Amazon Kindle Cloud, is that you can't zoom it in very well, at least in a sub-window view like we have set up. But that's okay. We'll tolerate for now. The name of the book, Scipio Mexicanus, good name by the way, is Lingua Latina, Pensa Illustrata. That is the name of the book. It is by Hans Orberg. There's actually a couple of different books out there, but if you're going to start learning by what they call the LLPSI method, this is the book that I suggest that you start with, Familia Romana. There is also some good companion guides out there. If I grab this book here, so if you are teaching yourself, I suggest you perhaps also pick up a copy of this one as well. I think it's also available in ebook form. This one is called A Companion to Familia Romana. So this is actually in English and really steps through and emphasizes some of the key grammar, some of the new vocabulary, and it's kind of like the teacher. So if you read this at the end of a chapter of Lingua Latina, and then have a read of the support chapter in this book as well as you step through, that'll really give you some good context if you're learning by yourself. So this one is by Jean Mary Newman, if you're looking for that particular title. Okay, so yeah, I recommend this companion guide to go with it as well for that little bit of extra learning. So we're lucky that once we've stepped through the homework this evening, I do have the answer book. So that is another book that you can get. It's called Teacher's Materials. Who writes this one? It's actually by Orberg himself. So we'll be able to check our work once we complete all the pensum A, B, and Care at the end to make sure that we've got it right. Perfect, awesome, says Scipio. Okay, so let's have a look. So we're down here, Grammatica Latina. So you can see my mouse on screen. Apologies that I can't get it larger for you, but at least you should be able to get the gist going forwards. Now, always remember, in these books, there's clues for us on the left-hand side. And the first clue that we see here is numerus, or number. We have singularis, 1, and then we have pluralis, which is 2 and 3. So it's suggesting that singular is meaning 1, and that looks very close to the English words anyway, doesn't it? Pluralis, I guess we're going to see meaning more than 1, or plural, 2 or 3, etc. So that's what it's implying there for us. And we can see that the title of this section is called Singularis et Pluralis. Singular and plural is what I'm deducing from here so far. It's just reminding us here that we saw in Chapter 1. Just remember, if you haven't had a go at Chapter 1, go back and look at Episode 1 of our Lingua Latina series so far. You can either again see it in the video section, or you can head to our YouTube channel, Australia Nova Romana, and you can watch Chapter 1 as we step through it there. And you'll recall from that chapter that we have fluvius, magnus, and when we see, and that's in the singular, and when we have the plural, we have fluvii and magni. We get many rivers, and we get a great rivers or a great river. Not many. That's different. That's multi, multa, multas. It's reminding us the different endings down here. Exemplum and exemplar. That kind of looks like the word example, and we'll be able to test that hypothesis in a minute. And again, a reminder about island. Insula magna for the singular, and insulae magni. So we have both the masculine and feminine variety here, and what changes in the endings of those words when we go from singular to plural. Good. Okay, so yes, singularis et pluralis. And in A here, the first example, we have Nilus fluvius magnus est. So the Nile, we worked out that to be the Nile River, and we deduced that from the map at the beginning of Chapter 1. So the Nile River is great, is what it's saying there, and that's all singular. Fluvius is singular, magnus is singular. Then we have Nilus et Rhenus fluvii magni sunt. So the Nile and the Rhine are great rivers, and we're talking about more than one river, so we need the plural of rivers. We need the adjective to match the noun as well, so the adjective takes on the plural form here as well. And sunt, and then like in English grammar, instead of is, we will say are to refer to multiple items here. So the Nile and the Rhine are great rivers. And it's going to emphasize the point for us here. So fluvius singularis est. So fluvius is singular, and fluvii pluralis est. So rivers is plural. So far, so good. Singularis, and it's emphasizing the US ending. Pluralis, ending the E ending here as well. So it's giving us some examples of some other words here. So exemplum, and I'm not 100% sure on that pronunciation, so be sure to check with your Latin pronunciation guides as to get that correct. But we have numerus in the singular and numeri in the plural there. Good so far. Cup of tea. Excellent. Keep the vocal cords lubricated. Then we have uno parus numerus est. So 1 is a small number, and we see the US ending being emphasized for us there to suggest the singular, considering we're only talking about 1. And then we have uno et duo parvi numeri sunt. So 1 and 2 are small numbers, and we're talking about multiple here. So we see the plural number and the adjective also plural as well. And you'll notice that because the Latin word order in sentences is much more flexible than English, the adjective is before the noun here in this case, but it was after the noun here. So there is some flexibility in the Latin sentence structure that we've learned so far. Good. So now we can move on to bear, the second lot of words here. So we have Corsica insula magna est. So Corsica is a great island, island being feminine. So we have the different endings here. And then we have Corsica et Sardinia insulae magnae sunt. So Corsica and Sardinia are great islands, and again, the adjective taking on the plural form to match the plural noun. So far, so good. Nothing terribly complicated in chapter 1 so far. Pretty easy to get along. And even first-time people to Latin and stepping through chapter 1 will be amazed at how easily they're able to deduce the definitions and the meaning of words and the ease of the sentences. And you're reading whole pages in Latin really early. The equivalent of a kid's book perhaps, but you're still learning and reading whole pages in Latin, which is pretty cool. Insula singularis est, so island is singular. And then we have insulae pluralis est. Let's get that right. We have islands is plural. So singularis is an a ending and pluralis I ending. So we see the differences between singular and plural for the feminine words there. Very good. So far, stepping through Grammatica Latina for Capitulum Prima, the first chapter. Let's turn the page now and continue on. So we have another exemplar here, so multiple examples. So we have litera and literae, and we have provincia and provinciae, showing the singular and plural of all of those words there. Very good. Yeah, it's a shame it's so small on the screen there. I wish it was a little bit bigger for you. I wonder if we could go full screen with that perhaps across the top before we start doing the homework. But we'll tolerate. We're about to hit Pensa very shortly once we've confirmed some of our grammar notes here. So we're doing well. Then we have a litera Latina est. Here we have a is a Latin letter. Latina, litera, feminine, all here. And then we have a et b literae Latinae sunt. And so we're showing the plural. So a and b are Latin letters. So the plural there. And again, we are seeing the adjective being Latin, changing in its ending to match the plural noun. Going on, Gallia est provincia Romana. And again, we're seeing a different word order in the sentence with est very close up the front of the sentence here. Gallia est provincia Romana. Gallia, or Gaul, is a Roman province, depending on what period of history you're looking at. And we have Gallia et Hispania provincia Romanae sunt. So let's get the pronunciation right there. Gallia et Hispania provinciae Romanae. Whew, okay, and get those syllables right. Sunt. So we have Gaul and Spain, essentially, or Iberia, are Roman provinces. And we see the plural there, and of course the correct usage of sunt instead of est. And then our final example, care, C here, line 100. We have Brundisium oppidum magnum est. So Brundisium, a city, is a great city, and that's what it's saying there for us, or is a great town. Brundisium et Sparta oppida magna sunt. So Brundisium and Sparta are great cities, and again, the plural, oppida, is the plural of oppidum. Now here we have the neuter. And we see the plural of a neuter word, oppidum, becomes oppida. So not too similar from what appears to be a singular feminine, but we know that this is the plural because we know what the singular is, so something for us to remember. And there is the clue in the margin on the right-hand side. So oppidum singularis est, so oppidum is singular, oppida pluralis est is oppida is plural. So singularis is ending, for neuter, and pluralis is an a ending for neuter. Okay, so not feminine or not masculine. It's the other gender, if you like, the neutral or no gender. So more examples here. Exemplar. So we have vocabular. So essentially words. So word or words. And then exemplar, so the word example itself. So here we can tell that this is the plural. So we have examples. So we have example and examples. And they have litera est vocabulam latinum non Graecum. So we have litera est vocabulum latinum. So we're seeing some the neuter endings here. So Latin words, so litera, so it's saying that this word is a Latin word. So litera is a Latin word, not Greek. is what we're saying here. So litera is a Latin word. It's not Greek. Graecum. Very good. So we then say litera et numerus non vocabula Graeca sed Latina sunt. So litera et numerus. So litera and numerus are not Greek words, but are Latin, but are Latin words. And there we go. We have got through our grammar section. So we are 25% of the way through our homework today. Look at us, doing very well. Right, cup of tea to refresh. Now we get to do some typing and really get into it. So you'll see here on the left-hand side, pensum A, which is kind of like work. It doesn't mean homework, but it means like a task, essentially, task A. And you can see here we have some blanks. So the intent here is, this is a little bit of a paraphrase of chapter 1, and it wants us to fill in the blanks. So again, it's all in Latin. There's no other clues here in English or any other language for that matter. And knowing our knowledge of chapter 1 and our current knowledge of Latin from Capitulum Primum, we need to fill in the blanks. So we're going to type it along on the right-hand side, and feel free to write along yourself at home. So you can step along and see and test your knowledge as well. See if you might be able to fill in the blanks. And the clues about what we're sort of going to be tested on was really sort of in that grammar section too. So sentence 1, and I'm going to retype out the full sentence. So we have Nilus flui something. And as we can tell here, the clue in this first sentence is est, so we know we're going to need the US ending est. Okay, so that's my guess so far. So we have Nilus fluvius, and I've spelt it wrong. Let's get the spelling right. There we go, that looks better. Nilus fluvius est. So the Nile is a river. Very good. Now let's moving on. Now I won't have any of the accents, but that's okay. Nilus et Rhenus, so R-H-E-N-U-S. And again, we have a half-spelt flui. Now it's looking for something on the end of this word, and then there is a blank. And noting we are talking about more than one object, this must be the plural of river, which is fluvii, and then we have sunt, because we are talking about more than one object. How are you going so far? So we've got Nilus fluvius est, Nilus et Rhenus fluvii sunt. Moving on, we have Creta insul something and a blank. So Creta insula est. So Crete is an island, so everything is in the singular there. And then we can copy and go to the new line like this one. Creta et H Rhodus, another island. Insulae sunt. So the sunt is another big clue there for us, but we are talking about more than one object. So if Creta et Rhodos insulae sunt is the next gap there. All right, next we are talking about Brundisium, B-R-U-N-D-I-S-I-U-M. Brundisium opid, and again we're missing some letters here. And another word. So we're talking about a singular object here, Brundisium, and I believe we're going to be saying opidum, a singular city, and we're going to need est to say that Brundisium is a city. And then to back that up, we're going to say Brundisium et, and then we're going to talk about the city of Tusculum, T-U-S-C-U-L-U-M, Tusculum. And it's going to ask for opid something, and we're going to say the plural of that is opida, and we're going to need sunt because we're talking about more than one object. So Brundisium et Tusculum opida sunt. Right, that's my guess so far. And it's looking pretty correct. I think there's not too much controversy there so far. Okay, let's move on to the next line. We have Rhenus, get the spelling right, H-E-N-U-S, flui something. So we have a almost spelt flui. And I suspect that because we're only talking about one object, it's going to be US ending. Magnus est. So the Rhine is a great river. Now we're going to talk about the Tiberius River, or the Tiber rather. So Tiberis est flui, and it's going to ask for something here, and we see the other incomplete word, parvi. So we're talking about singular again. This is going to be masculine singular, Tiburis et est fluvius parus. So we need that to match as well. That looks good to me. Moving on, so we have talking about the Rhine again here. So Rhenus, Renus et, and then we have the Davius, Danuvius, which is I guess the Danube in English. Non flui, and again incomplete here. Parvi. So we've got some incomplete words. Now we're talking about more than one object, so this needs to be the plural of rivers, another I. And parvi, we need the plural of that as well. So did we get that right? For some reason I've become unconfident about small in the plural again here. Flui magni sunt. Yep, that looks good. So if parvus is the singular, I want to say that parvi is. Does it need the double I perhaps? It's got me already. But we do know that we require the plural of the adjective here. Cup of tea. So renus et Davius non flui parvi. And we'll be able to check our answers at the end here. So we'll recall that shortly. So we are saying that the Rhine and the Danube are not small rivers. They are indeed quite large. But we have not yet finished the sentence. We need the comma. Sed flui. It's going to be plural again. Magni sunt. So we need the plural. So they are great rivers. So we need the plural of Magnus, and we need the plural of rivers here. Good stuff. Good progress. So we are up to here, down here now. So we have Sardinia, insu something. So perhaps it's going to, we're talking about singular, insula magna, because we're talking about a feminine object. Let's get that spelling right. Magna est. There we go. Sardinia insula magna est. And then we're going to say another island, Melita insula parva est. So we're saying Sardinia is a great island and Melita is a small island. Yep, good so far. Let's move on. So we're talking about Sardinia again here. So Sardinia, good. Et Sicilia non insulae parvae. So we're going for the plural endings here, noting that we're talking about more than one object. Sardinia et Sicilia non insulae parvae. Good. So we are now here, but we haven't quite finished the sentence, so let's put our comma in there. Sed insulae magnae sunt. That's better. Now that sentence is finished. All right. Let's talk about Brundisium. We're nearly halfway down through Pensa May. So we're going to say Brundisium. Let's get the spelling right. Brundisium. Yep, that looks pretty good. Non oppidum parum, comma, sed oppidum magnum est. So you see again that our adjectives have changed yet again. So because we're talking about Brundisium in the neuter, and the city in particular is in the neuter. So Brundisium is not a small city, but a large city. So again, the adjectives are changing on us. Lots of different forms in this inflected language. Let's see where we're up to. We're here. So now we're going to talk about Tusculum. So Tusculum et, and then we're going to tell about Delphi, Delphi, non Tusculum et Delphi non opida magna. But because we're talking about more than one, this I think this needs to be plural, right? So this needs to be magni. Yep. So we're going to make sure we get the correct plural. So opidum, opida, magni is where I want to go with this. And where is our sentence? Magni, comma, sed opida par vai sunt. So let's consider that. I mean, my initial reaction is I want to make that opidai, but that is already in the plural. So tusculum et delpihi non opida magni. So the feminine plural, but noting that this is not feminine. So really, that's not appropriate. So I think it actually is just magna. So the plural for, we know that the plural for a neuter is just a, like in the clue here on the left hand side up here where my mouse is. So because we're talking about the neuter object, well, this is the plural, opida, so this should just be magna. So it looks like the singular feminine, but that is also the same as the plural neuter, is the intent I think I'm seeing here. So yeah, so there's the clue there, look, opida magna. So there we go, we corrected ourselves as we're doing it. We're learning, folks. So tusculum et delpi non opida magna sed opida parva sunt. So they are, so Tusculum and Delphi are not great cities, but are small cities. Okay. Right, new sort of paragraph here. Let's talk about Creta Insula. Yep. Insula Graeca, potentially. Let's double check. Est. So Creta Insula Graeca Est is what I want to say here. So Crete is a Greek island. That's where I want to go with that so far. And noting it's going to take on the form similar to insula here. So I think that looks right so far. Let's talk about Lesbos et Chios et Naxos sunt insulae Graecae. Full stop. So let's double check. Lesbos et Chios et Naxos sunt insulae Graecae. So we're saying Lesbos and Chios and Naxos are Greek islands. We're going for the plural here. So, and that ending of Greek as an adjective is going to match islands in the plural there. That's looking pretty good so far. Next sentence we have in Graecia something insul something sunt. So let's go back. So we're seeing plural islands because we're talking about multiples of something. So in Graecia, so this is the what's the case called when you're referring to location? Ablative case. So this is the ablative case. So in Graecia multi, so this is insulae, so this should be multi. So in Graecia multi insulae sunt is where I want to go with that. In Greece there are many islands. Then we're going to say in Gallia, so again another ablative, sunt insula something, so we've got an incomplete word again. Graec something. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong line. In Gallia sunt multi, let's do that properly. Mult something, flu something, Full stop. So in Gaul are many rivers, so we need E there, multi, so we need an I there, so adding I's on the end. So in Gallia sunt multi flui, so in Gaul are many rivers. And I think there are. That sounds like a factual statement. Next line, we have in, not ink, in Italia, molt something, op id something, and then we're finishing with a sunt, so there's our clue. Sunt is our clue, so we're going to say many of something, so we're going to say opida. This has to be molta. So in Italia, molta opida sunt. So in Italy, there are many cities. Perfect. Look at us, we're making good progress. Let's now say in Arabia sunt Pauc something, P-A-U-C. We're waiting for an ending there. F-L-U-V-I is the next word, et. And then we're saying Pauc again and op-id again. So lots of endings needed here. So we are talking about multiple objects. So in Arabia sunt, and we're saying multiple rivers. There are small rivers and small cities. So this needs to pauca opida. That looks better. So in Arabia sunt pauci flui et pauca opida. In Arabia are small rivers and small cities. Right. Last paragraph of Pensum A. Good progress so far. So we're going to say A et B liter something Latin something sunt. Bring this up a little. So we have A and B are Latin letters. So we have literae Latinae sunt is where I want to go with that. Let's so Latina is in the feminine, so its plural is Latinae. Litera again is feminine, literae plural. So that looks pretty good to me. Then we're going to have que, quoque, liter something, Latin something est. So we have C is also a Latin letter. So back to singular. C is also a Latin letter. So litera Latina est. Now we're going to say molti, and it's really emphasized that for us, et pauci vocabul something, Latin something sunt. So many, so we're saying, it's actually, this is in plural, so we're actually saying many and small are Latin letters, but we need to add some endings here. So we need, vocabulum is in neuter, so we're going to say A here, and this is going to be back to A here as well. So we have multi et pauci vocabula Latina sunt. So the word multi and small are Latin words, is what we're saying there. Then we're going to say ubi, quoque, let's get the spelling right. Vocabul something, Latin something, est. And back to singular here. So we're saying ubi is also a Latin word. So what is the singular? So Latinum is what we need here. That looks good. So ubi quoque vocabulum Latinum est. So ubi, which means where, essentially where, is also a Latin word, and because vocabulum in the singular is neuter, the adjective needs to match that with the um ending as well. All right, I think we've got two or so sentences left, so we're nearly there. So we have uno et duo numer something, Roman something sunt. So 1 and two are Roman numbers. So we have numer, I want to say, so we see up here, we're looking for clues before. So numerus is so numeri is what we need here for plural. Roman, I want to say Romani sunt here. And to finish this off, we're going to say tres quoque, good, numerus, I'm having a guess here, Romanus est, yeah, there we go, because it's est. So 3 is also a Roman number. Back to singular masculine endings here. All right, now we have finished Pensum A, or at least our attempt of Pensum A. So now what we can do is we can have a look at the answers. So let's roll through, and I have the answer book here, and we can double check. So let's look at the first line. I'm going to read from the book, and then you guys can check to make sure it's also correct on screen. So up here we have Nilus fluvius est, good. Nilus et renus flui sunt, good. We've got all that so far. We have Creta insula est, good. Next, we're going to say Creta et Rhodus insulae sunt. Excellent. Brundisium oppidum est. Brundisium oppidum est. Good. I'm going to say Brundisium et Tusculum oppida sunt. Brundisium et Tusculum oppida sunt. Great stuff. Bene. Renus fluvius magnus est. Renus fluvius magnus est. Bene. Tiberis est fluvius parvus. Tiberis est fluvius parvus. Bene. Renus et Davius non flui parvi. Renus et Davius non flui parvi. Sed flui magni sunt. Sed flui magni sunt. Bene, bene. Sardinia insula magna est. Sardinia insula magna est. Melita insula parve est. Melita insula parve est. Sardinia et Sicilia non insulae parvae. Sardinia et Sicilia non insula parvae. Yes, pluaris. Bene. Sed insulae magnae sunt. Sed insulae magnae sunt. Yes, pluaris. Bene. Brundisium non oppidum parvum, sed oppidum magnum est. Brundisium non oppidum parvum, sed oppidum magnum est. Bene. Tusculum et Delpi non oppida magna. Tusculum et Delpi non oppida magna. Sed oppida parva sunt. Sed oppida parva sunt. Creta insula Graeca est. Creta insula Graeca est. Lesbos et Chios et Naxos sunt insulae Graeciae. Lesbos et Chios et Naxos sunt insulae Graeciae. In Graecia multae insulae sunt. In Graecia multae insulae sunt. In Gallia sunt multi flui. In Gallia sunt multi flui. Bene, bene, bene. In Italia multa oppida sunt. In Italia multa oppida sunt. In Arabia sunt pauci flui et pauca oppida. In Arabia sunt pauci flui et pauca oppida. Bene, oppitum, optime. E et B litterae latina sunt. E et B litterae latina sunt. Que quoque littera latina est. Multi et pauci vocabula latina sunt. Bene, ubi quoque vocabulum latinum est. Bene, uno et duos numeri Romani sunt. Et tres quoque numerus Romanos est. Optime, amici. We did it. We got through, and it looks like we got 100%. I think all the spelling there looked pretty good. You know, we were stumbled a little bit. We just got to remember the gender of the word, and then I guess its correct ending. And I guess the clues were in the margin. So we have the different endings for singular and plural. For neuter, which is U, M, and A. And if you go back a page here, we see feminine. We have A and I, or A and I for singular and plural feminine. And then for masculine, we have the US and E ending. So we have fluius and flui for river, for example, in the masculine. Fantastic. That is really good. So what I think we might do now, let's skip over Pensum B because it's a little bit more of the same. But if you've got the book, I encourage you to have a go at doing all of the homework. But we're now going to do Pensum C. So let's take our title here. Let's start a new paragraph. Insert. So how does you all go with Pensum A, with task A? Following along at home, or if you're on YouTube, did you get all the correct answers? Testing your knowledge? Now, like I said, it helps if you've already read the chapter, obviously. So make sure you've read through the first chapter of the book if you're doing the tasks of the first chapter. And like I said, find a good source of Latin that actually reads these books out so you can learn the pronunciation. And I certainly suggest the Scorpio Martianos YouTube channel with Luca Ranieri, who does a whole series of reading out all this entire book in Latin. So that's this book here. So Luca Ranieri reads out the entire book all in Latin, and he really gives you a good idea on how to pronounce the words. And that's mostly where I've got some of my pronunciation from, as well as some of the help from the Latinists from Nova Roma. So plenty of help around. Now, Pensum C, and if you can see on the left-hand side here where my cursor is asking a series of questions. What is it? It's expecting is for us to answer those questions in Latin. Okay, so we're going to use Latin to answer these questions. All right, so the questions are there. I'm not going to necessarily write out the questions again, but I will write out my answers in Latin for both my benefit and for everybody else. Save the page so we don't lose that, and have a sip of tea. So, first question is, ubi est Roma? Now, some of these questions will be very context specific, and you'll need to have read the chapter. So, thankfully, I remember most of the chapter, I think, although we may need to flick through and remind ourselves, and we can do that on screen just to double check our answers to questions and make sure we answer them correctly. So, for example, if it asks a question further down here, we might have to remind ourselves the answer if our geography isn't particularly good, or if your geography isn't particularly good. But the first question asks, ubi est Romana? So we understand that to be, where is Rome? Now, even if the habit here is that even if they ask a yes or no question, the habit that you need to get into in Latin is answering in full sentences. So there is a yes or no question technically in the list, but we will answer that in full with explanation, essentially, and you'll see what I mean by that later on. But this first one is pretty basic. So where is Rome? And we now need to say what we want to say in English is Rome is in Italy. So to say that, I think, and we can move words around once we've had time to analyze our words. Take bold off. So Roma in Italia est. Now, we don't have any accents, but for the most part, you can get away without using the accents. But there are actually some keyboard setouts and layouts that you can get, keyboard settings that you can download that can actually help you to really quickly put in accents. Somebody was telling me that apparently the New Zealand Maori downloaded keyboard, so like even on phone and stuff, is a really quick way to get accents, for example, on phone or mobile devices by holding in the letters to get the accents. And I think for some parts you can do the same thing. But for the most part, we can get away without using the accents. But I guess in this case here, we're forced to remember whether the vowels are long or short. So we will often refer back to the questions here. But our answer for number one is Roma in Italia est. So ubi est Roma? Where is Rome? And we're going to answer that question with Roma in Italia est. Rome is in Italy. That is correct. Sip of tea. Excellent. How'd you go with that first question, everybody? Hopefully you did all right. Let's do question two. So the next question here is Esne Sparta in Italia. Esne, and we see the NE ending there on the end of Esne. So again, I'm reading from over here on the list. Sorry, it's so small. Esne, and we know is like is, and NE poses as a question. So is Sparta in Italy? Now we know that Sparta is not in Italy, it's actually in Greece. And we could actually say that as a part of our answer potentially. But let's start off by saying Sparta, because that is the subject of our sentence here, non est in Italia. And we could say sed in Graecium? Graecia? What is the... so Sparta is feminine. Everything is mostly feminine. So I suspect that Greece is in the feminine here. I need an E. Graecia. That looks slightly better. So we'll check, I guess, the definite answer that the book was looking for here. But pretty much our response is to Esne Sparta in Italia is Sparta non es in Italia, sed in Graecia. So Sparta is not in Italy, but in Greece. That is our answer so far. Question 3 is going to ask Ubi est Italia? Where is Italy? And we're going to say Italia in Europa est. Italy is in Europe. Quite simple, that one. Question 4. Ubi sunt Syria et Arabia? Now, I might have to refer back to the map for... oh no, I know what it wants here. And thankfully that's the same spelling as it in English, and you'll see what I mean in just a minute if you're not 100% with us. So, Ubi sunt Syria et Arabia? So again, these are where questions. Where is Syria and Arabia? And the answer that it's looking for here is Asia, based on the Romans' concepts of continents and locations. So we want to say Syria et Arabia in Asia sunt. Again, we're using sunt because we're talking about multiple objects here. Syria et Arabia in Asia sunt. Question 5. Esne Aegyptus in Asia? Is Egypt in Asia? The answer is yes. Yes, it is. But like I said, we don't like to answer directly yes or no. In Latin, we want to use full sentences. Excuse me. So in this case here, we want to say Aegyptus in Asia est. So Egypt is in Asia. So we are confirming that question with the full answer. So the question being Esne Aegyptus in Asia, we're going to say Aegyptus in Asia est. Yes. Indeed, Egypt is in Asia. Now we're going to ask Ubi sunt Sparta et Delphi? So where are Sparta and Delphi? So we're going to start off with the subjects. Sparta et Delphi in Graecia sunt. Sparta and Delphi are in Greece. Now I think that is still the ablative. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll double check that answer as a part of our review. So Sparta and Delphi are in Greece. Next question here. Ubi est Brundisium? Where is Brundisium? We'll start with the subject again here. Brundisium in Italia est. Nice and simple. Brundisium is in Italy. So far, nothing too curly. The only one I think I'm unsure of so far, let's highlight it, that I'm not sure that ablative is correct, but we'll see. I'm expecting, I had concerns that needs to be modified, but I have the same thing up here. So we'll check what the ablative or the location variant of this inflected word for Greece is. So Italia, elongates its vowel, and I suspect it's the same thing here. So Italia becomes Italia, and Graecia will probably become Graecia, elongated. So that right now the spelling is probably correct. It's just because we don't have the accent. We were unable to differentiate the difference between the nominative and the ablative version of the word. But we'll check our hypothesis at the end here. Okay, next question. Question 8. Septum. We have a different type of question here. We have quid est Brundisium? Quid est Brundisium? Now here, quid is what? Really? So what is Brundisium? So somebody who has no idea what Brundisium means, so a foreigner potentially coming to the Roman Republic or the Roman Empire goes, what's a Brundisium? Is essentially what they're asking here. So again, we're going to start with our subject, which is Brundisium. Brundisium and it's a city, so we want to say oppidum est. Brundisium oppidum est. Brundisium is a city. And the foreigner is going to go, oh, right, I see. It's a city. I see. I thought it was a broom or something. Next question. Question 9. What's the... I've forgotten the word for 9. Put in the chat or the comments if you remember what 9 is. That's it right on the tip of my tongue and my head. I want to say something starting with N. Never mind. It'll come to us later. But if you know the Latin word for 9, first person to throw that into the comments or the chat gets points. The next question is num creta oppidum est. Now num, for those who can't remember, is a question word, and the num here implies a negative answer. So, sorry, not implies probably the wrong word. Here it expects a negative answer. So sometimes the asker of this question may have it wrong, and you can clarify in Latin, of course. But num creta oppidum est, we would translate into English as surely Crete is not a city. So we don't see the word non here because that is implied by num. So we're saying the person asking the question here is saying surely Crete is not a city, and we're going to confirm that, and then kind of like we did over in question 2 is actually say what it is. So this person has an inkling that Crete is not a city, and we're going to confirm that for them. So we're going to say Creta non oppidum est, comma, sed insula est. So we're going to say Crete is, spell that right, oppidum. Oh, why is that not look right? There's another P. That's better. Creta non oppidum est. So Creta is not a city, as you suspected, but is an island. That looks good. Question 10, we have Esne Britannia insula parva. Is Britannia a small island? Definitely not. It is definitely not a small island. So we're going to say Britannia, which is our subject. Britannia non insula parva est, sed magna est. Let's double check our work. So we're saying Britain is not a small island, said a great is a great island. Said is great. Or feminine because insula is feminine. And in the singular too. Next question. Well, look at us. We're nearly there. Only what, 1, 2, 3, 4 questions to go. Perfect. So next we have quid est Tiberis. Quid est Tiberis, and we recall from quid from earlier up here. So it's like a what question. What is the Tiberis, or what is the Tiber, as we would probably say in English? So again, the subject is the Tiberis. Here we know it is a river, based on our deductions from chapter 1 or capitulum primum. So Tiberis fluvius est. The Tiber is a river. And we could probably have given that an adjective too to be really smart. We could have said that it's a great river. But for the context here, I think that is enough. Now this one looks a bit quirky, this next question. Quid est, and it looks like the letter D, or as we say in Latin, de. Quid est de? What is D? Is what that in English. So I'm going to say de litera and this needs a capital, Latina est. But we need something else. No, that's fine. So we're going to say de litera Latina est. D is a Latin letter. Good. Second last question. Num delta litera Latina est. And again, this person has a suspicion that delta is not a Roman letter, or rather a Latin letter. And they would be right. Delta is not a Latin letter. So let's confirm that for them. Now, I can't quickly anyway. Where's my symbols? Up on the... never mind. I'll write delta here. Otherwise I would have just inserted the symbol. Oh no, here we go. Insert symbol. Let's see, can I quickly pull up delta? More symbols. Where's our Greek letters? That's the clue. How hard is it to find a triangle? It kind of looks like it, but that's not what we're looking for. They call it a small Latin turned V. What do you know? Here we go. We're into there it is, delta. Perfect. Let's close that off. So, delta non litera latina est, sed Graecia est. That looks better. So delta is not a Latin letter, but a Greek letter. Litera latina est, sed Graecia est. Okay. That looks good. Last question. I think we're doing okay. And of course, we'll check our answers after this. Esne duo magnus numerus. Is the number 2 a great or large number? And frankly, it's not. Well, context is important, but for what we know here, counting basics, it is not. So we're going to say, we'll keep it consistent in usage here. We'll say duo non magnus numerus, sed parus est. So 2 is not a great number, but a small number. All right. I think we've answered all 14 questions that there in Pensum Care. Now we can look at our answers, and let's see what the answer book had. So, the first one, ubi est Roma, and we said Roma in Italia est, and that's what the book says. Roma in Italia est, where the O is elongated, as it is normally, and because this is the ablative, that will have an accent on it. The A will have an accent. Question 2 asks us, Esne Sparta in Italia? And I say, Sparta in Italia non est. Sparta in Italia non est, and again, word order is not too picky here, so that is fine. Now, that was bonus, and they don't expand on whether it's in Greece or not. So that's so we get points for that. That's good. Question 3, ubi est Italia? Answer is Italia est in Europa. Did I spell that right? Yes, I did. Accents here would be on the O and the A, being and A in particular being the ablative. Question 4, quator ubi sunt Syria et Arabia? Answer is Syria et Arabia in Asia sunt. And that's what we have. Estne Aegyptus in Asia? Aegyptus in Asia non est. Let's read the... If I skipped a question, let's have a look. So question 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, was asking about Egypt. Question 5 here. No, that's right. So I said it was in Asia. Well, I actually need to put non in here somewhere, right? Because if your geography is anything, Egypt is not in Asia. It's in Africa. Africa. So, did I capture that at the time, or did I just have to leave non out? But the answer should be non. It's because Egypt's not in Africa. Basic geography. I failed. Failed geography, apparently. Oh, well. Question 6. Ubi sunt Sparta et Delphi? And the answer here, in Graecia sunt. So it asked where Sparta and Delphi were, and I said it was in Greece. And yep, that is correct. So as I suspected, these ablatives are fine. And we would expect to see the accent over the A to show the elongated vowel, to show the ablative version of that word. That's cool. Ubi est Brundisium? Brundisium est in Italia. That's fine. And then, quid est Brundisium? Brundisium oppidum est. Good. Question 9. Num Creta oppidum est? Creta oppidum non est. Good. And we add some expansion there. Estne Britannia insula parva? And answer, Britannia non insula parva. Good. Sed insula magna est. Now, I had est twice here. Apparently that may not be needed, so maybe you could do away with one of the ests. I don't know how wrong it is to have a second est, but the answer here implies there's only the one at the end here. And look, considering it's acting as a verb here, really, in the sentence, you really only need the one. We get the picture. All right, 11. Quid est Tiberis? Tiberis fluvius est. That looks good to me. 12. Quid est de littera Latina est. Good, we got everything correct there. 13. Num delta littera Latina est. Delta non littera Latina sed littera Graeca. Graeca. Now, spelling here is wrong. There's no I. It was just Graeca. And that is different from the ablatives that we saw earlier. So here is a location, but here when it's acting as an adjective, it's not when there's no I, so it's just Graeca. So delta non littera Latina est sed Graeca est. That is the adjective meaning Greek. So that is something that we just need to pick up and know. There's no I like in the location here. Okay, so we lost a little bit of marks there. And then the final question, esne duo magnus numerus? And then the answer is duo non magnus numerus. Good. Sed parvus numerus est. Good. And we've got that one pretty good. So we get full marks for the last question. So not 100%, but gosh, we were so close. And I'm sure if we were answering somebody in Latin, we were close enough. So that's good. Sip of tea to celebrate. Now that is all the homework we're going to do today. What I encourage you to do, if you are following along at home in this series, is if you've got a copy of the book, and if you don't have a copy, please grab one. Go ahead and do pensum B, A, B, K. Yeah, so do B, because we did A and C. So go ahead and do B as another exercise. And outside of that, that will conclude our episode for today. So we'll come back again hopefully next week if all things are on schedule, and we'll do chapter 2's homework. So we'll look at the grammar section, and then we'll do pensum A or B, and then we'll do the pensum C, answering the questions as well for capitulum secundum, or the second chapter. Good. That was productive. I love doing the revision. It's a great way to reinforce your knowledge and your vocabulary, your Latin words as well. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's program and you got something out of it as well, and continuing your Latin language expansion. It's been an absolute pleasure, and until next time, valete.